Today's subject is going to start with a subject that's seldom heard. Okay, these collars on eBay. Okay, can't really tell a real one from a fake one. The fakes, they start with KP, a lot of them, which means kill pet, which it almost took Bubba's life. I have a vet bill, heavy duty vet bill. I was working over there, we're doing cab mounts on the truck, and I took my bike. We're going to give you a bike report. Let me put my real ball cap on for you. Game's on. We were up there fighting the Biden. There was no Biden supporters outside of what I call welfare hoes. Sorry guys, but they exist. And this area in Pennsylvania is loaded with them. That's why I'm still single. And I'm hoping my Navy lieutenant friend, I'm hoping she retires and doesn't get herself in trouble like the other one did. Here is the report on the bike. Is fantastic. I actually had to move the freaking timing back where it had been. Probably OEM. I put another key in. I hit 45 mile an hour with that setup. That is no. I was keeping pace. I was keeping pace with traffic. Unbelievable performance. I took it down to the radiator shop down to Tunison's the other day, and I was really hauling ass with it then. But actually today it acted differently. So I guess it takes like a break-in period. And what am I using? I'm using a 40-to-1 mixture. And then I'll show you what I use to that right there. That's what I'm using in there. And some Cam 2 race fuel, which I don't have here. I get it. The smallest amount you can get it is in 5-gallon cans. And I will not keep that here at the house or even outside the house, because in certain temperature shifts, that stuff, if you have the slightest leak and you might have a cigarette near it, you'll ignite that shit from 5-10 feet away. And I'm not kidding you, depending on the atmospheric conditions. So you guys that want to get yourself some Cam 2, you make sure you keep it out in the shed, and make sure you got fire insurance on that shed, guys. Corporate espionage. Okay, I got to finish up this truck. My son's been waiting for it. I got both my son's trucks here, and the white one's still here. Timmy's truck's still here. Listen, we have different elements that entered our economy, and they were brought about by our politicians. And at Beer 30, the headaches I had today with them freaking retards from AutoZone and Advanced Auto Parts, I don't think you can get any more stupid, butt fuck stupid, that you can't even look up a part, you don't even speak proper English or even read proper English, and you're trying to sell me parts for my truck. I could not even get a simple transmission seal for my Silverado. I ordered it through the freaking dealer. I said, screw it. I'm going to money ruins right now this week. It's not even funny, and it's all because of China basic stupidity. And that brings me back in the espionage loop. Many years ago, now I'm going back to the mid-1990s, about the time my one boy was born. About 94, 95, we were getting a lot of bad Felpro gaskets. Felpro couldn't figure it out. And actually, if you called the company, well, a lot of these companies, they don't have customer service. I believe Felpro still does. And they made good for the stuff. But later on, I read an article, and I think that was in the Wall Street, not the Wall Street Times, but the Wall Street Journal, that China was slipping carbon copies of these gaskets into the market. They were making them for pennies on the dollar because Felpro would not go to China now. And I still don't think they did, or at least not totally, because Felpro makes a decent gasket. But the company made good for those bad gaskets. And then it was months or maybe a year or two later, I read that China was actually carbon copying their gaskets. It happened to NGK spark plugs, and it happened to Seresto collars, and it happened to a few other products that I use. Professional grade products are hard to get. I can't wait till they start copying Snap-on tools and shit and flooding the market with them. But that's basically what espionage is, and I'll explain it to you. It happens, there's actually 3 ways, 3 elements it happens. And here's how it is. an employee, say it's an employee comes into your company. A new guy has a master's degree. He's ambitious. He really knows his shit. He might even have contributed an idea to making a new, say, a new versatile product. When you're freshly educated, you're a little better over. That's why sometimes you get hired first when you have a fresh education versus the old school, the old mainstream, the old beliefs. That's me. I'm sorry, I'm too old to change, and a lot of the stuff, it's new, it's better, it's improved, and it's worse than it ever was. So that's how it happens, is one way, is an employee slips in and your competition says, listen, you're going to come to work for us after you perfect that idea. So what happens is he goes over to say Seresto. We'll talk about Seresto. He goes over to them, works for them, gets all their information on how they make their product. He might have an idea to do it cheaper and faster and better, especially in Asia. Or like this is actually biological warfare. KP, this was meant, it tells me a subliminal message, this was meant to kill your pet. And thank God, like I said, I'm not one of those neglective owners. These guys are on top of me in the office. They talk to me at dinner time. Yeah, they actually talk to humans, believe that or not. I don't give a shit who tells me a cat can't talk. When these guys want something, Bubba's right here. He wants some attention. Those little guys with the fur and the paws, if you pay attention to them, they're smarter than most honor roll students these days. So that's one of the elements of how it happens is a new employee comes in, finds out what your trademark is, and another company's going to find out. We don't care so much about the employee. You're going to get $1 million check because they're going to make $1 million their first month introducing a new Chinese-made product at a quarter of the cost of the competitor. They're going to clean up. They're going to clean house. Basically, this I think was a malicious act. Right now I think this is China testing its biological warfare. Americans are fucking stupid. We are. And remember what I told you about Americans. When it's shiny and it's new, Americans want it. They're like crows. That's why I keep some of my rusty old truck. Why not you get a new truck? Well, not that I can't afford it. This ain't the economy to go slitting your throat buying a brand new vehicle. Because those people that just did that a couple of months ago or 2 years ago, they're slitting their throats trying to pay for this shit with everything going up. So now the second element of how corporate espionage goes, because it happens in the government. Now this is not just a spy slipping in. This is somebody getting a hold of your product. It's probably somebody closer to my mentality. I can reverse engineer something. Mostly, it happens mostly not with medicinal products so much, but with mechanical products. You get some young, ambitious guy, and he goes and you send him somewhere to go buy that product, and you tell him there's a paycheck ahead of it if he reverse engineers it for you or for your use. That's another way that it happens. Now, another way it happens is the government gets involved. You have a good product. They're not getting their cut. You might have went right offshore to begin with. Oil companies do that. Gas companies do it. Metering products, products that meter devices, just like even those handheld scanners and stuff like that. Siemens doesn't make that anymore. They used to. Siemens actually perfected it. China picked it up. They copied the chips. It's gone. It happens on Navy ships. We work with special weapons, or we work with special tools. Something the other nations don't have. It's our way. It's our American moniker. It's in our nature to be innovative. Okay? YouTube was the biggest espionage product that the Chinese ever produced because, like I said, they started copying our stuff when we were doing these motorized bicycles, and they found out from us how to build a better mousetrap, and they didn't even have to send in an espionage agent. They didn't have to. All they had was the YouTube platform, Facebook, a couple others. I'm not fond of Twitter. So, oh, by the way, you should have seen the crowd up there in Scranton with Biden. I got to change the subject here a minute. Protesters everywhere. Nothing on the mainstream media. And that little shithead, he went in that trolley museum, which is about the fucking size of a phone booth, to give his Build Back Better speech. What a retard. I screamed scumbag, me, Uncle Dutch, driving around. There was trucks, motorcycles. But anyway, at the limo, we had to park because when the procession comes through, you can't be on the street. You can't, be transgressing. So we were all parked, and I was running alongside the limo, scumbag! Because Joe Biden, that's what you are. You're a fucking scumbag. I'll tell you what, I'd break a Muppet like you over my knee, even as old as you are. I wouldn't care, because you're that much of a scumbag. I respect my elderly, right or wrong. I walk away sometimes if they want a conflict. Older people, I noticed myself with this broken tooth. I got out of my element. I snapped at a couple people. I had to, apologize. And actually, one guy, he put his arm around me. He says, I understood. I've been there. He says, yeah, I knew you were a bigger man than that. Well, fine, but some other people don't understand you can be a bigger man. They didn't understand you had a health problem and you were getting jerked off, or you had to stand there at a counter when you're not feeling good. So I kind of understand older people. But Joe Biden, he's nothing but a scumbag. So I hope and pray that maybe Seresto sees this, or somebody else, because a lot of people don't understand the elements of corporate espionage. But it's happened to so many good products that I use. Like, what the hell did they do to this shit? You call the company, okay? And the company, now I felt Seresto might have been obligated to send me a collar or two or something. I figured maybe they would do that, but it was maybe my own stupidity. Maybe Seresto looks at it. Look, we're getting hurt bad enough. People are suing us because their pet died, and those people were morons as to really what happened. Do I think that Seresto did this? Kind of. I think it was somebody working within the company to have their packaging materials. But I don't ever remember buying anything in a cardboard box from Seresto. Now, maybe in certain other parts of the country they sell it that way. Maybe there's a law that they have to sell it in a box. But I have never seen a Seresto collar in a box. I bought 3 of these, which they're not a bad collar, because I recommend products for free. It's part of my nature. If I can help somebody save a buck, I will. I don't know how long they're going to last. It's the fall, so I didn't want to put a lot of money out. I'll buy those Seresto collars and pay their money in the spring for those collars, because after next month the fleas are basically eviscerated. But this time of year they can be pretty vicious. So a fresh collar. What I'll do is I'll wait till like March or April and I'll get Seresto collars, and they kind of last most of the summer. Seresto collars don't truly last 8 months. They last about 4.5, maybe 5 months at the most. And these last probably about 3 months. I'm somebody that has a belief that humans are abusive enough to each other. We're really abusive, very nasty species, that we can be that nasty to an animal. I firmly believe in rescuing animals from the bottom of my heart. If I see an animal in distress, I don't care if it's a baby bird or what the hell, I try to put it back in the nest. I nurse 2 little birds here, and a lot of the reasons I don't do videos on that stuff, number 1, I don't have time, okay? Number 2, I don't want to tell stories like I'm a hero. And number 3, if the bird ends up dead 2 weeks later, I don't want to be explaining it to people that, they think you didn't have the talent. I can't change nature. I can only try to help nature. So I don't want to be belittled, if the little baby bird that I tried to save died. The 2 I tried to save this year survived. For some, I think it was the warm weather had a lot to do with it. And they were drinking a lot. And my buddy down the road here with the bait shop, he had crickets, he had grubs and stuff that they immediately, unlike the other 2 baby birds that maybe 2-3 years ago that I had one late in the season and I had one early, like in the spring. Neither of them survived. But these 2, maybe because they were born, I think that was back in the end of July. I mean, it was smoking hot, and I brought them in the containment in the barn, and I hung them in a cage, and I kept the barn open, most of the day, and at night I would close it up when it cooled off, and it worked out, because when I would water the birds, they were drinking the water and they were eating the grubs. They took to the grubs and the crickets. So I don't want people to think less of me if, hey, I got a cute little baby bird and it dies. I care about nature. I care about almost everything around me. Even douchebag cops. I really don't want to go out of my way. I've had that couple of incidents with these idiot. The ones that were here, I think they changed their tactics on how they deal with people, or at least I hope they did. I hope they had a change of heart. Nobody intentionally wants to go out and hurt somebody. If you're not feeling good, you might snap at somebody. You might say something you don't really mean, or you might regret. I think everybody's done it. Even Sean Hannity's done it. Most public talk show hosts have done it. Steve Gutfield admitted to it. I mean, whether you did it personally or on the air. It happens even in a professional's life. You stepped out of your element for a minute and said, listen, I really didn't mean to do that. I kind of maybe should apologize to that guy. So that really is the way it goes in the real world. Not everybody does the right thing. But corporate espionage is affecting a lot of these companies. It pushes, when you have a need for a product and you make a fake product, that's what pushed me kind of over to these. Because I couldn't get a hold of other Serestos until I looked at the ratings on Amazon. I had an immediate need. And a lot of times that immediate need, say if it's a part, like I can't get that transmission seal for my truck, I went to the dealer. You go to another source. Well, the Chinese have been trying to make themselves pertinent as another source. So I'm hoping that I've successfully explained what espionage is and what it does to an industry. Because it could very well happen to these people. The Chinese are at war with us. They want the entire U.S. economy. And that's why Joe Biden was in there to expire and let them go into Taiwan during that vacuum in the Philippines. They're going to go right in there upon his death. And nothing the United States is going to do. We'll send a couple warships, get us in World War III. Well, folks, that could happen. It's a good possibility. But explaining to people like you what really happened, okay, was not Seresto making a bad or defective product. Either somebody within that company or somebody with the means to copy their stuff. Now with these 3D copiers, anything's possible, okay? I really think in my heart it was somebody working inside of Seresto. It's the only way something like that could have happened. They might have had the raw materials and just took it out of a storeroom or whatever. Now, those cans are definitely not Serestos, and especially the way they're altered. One has 7 to 8 months on it. Well, damn, that one says... Definitely not a Seresto product. KP cereal on that one. Kill pet. That's why I still smoke. You can't get away from these cockroaches. And you can't get away from the cockroaches in Washington, D.C. That was another thing I screamed at the news cameras when they were interviewing a guy. I shied away from it. I didn't want to be in front of the camera, and there was, a ton of motorcycles there, a ton of four-wheel drive trucks, and we're all people from different walks of life. I let those guys talk. But one thing I did in the background was yell, Joe Biden's a cockroach. That's the reason why I would do something as immature as yell, Joe Biden is a cockroach. I love my pets. I love my life. I love my peace. I love my serenity when I can get it. Okay? And I don't intentionally get myself into conflicts. Now, our police had that view of me, like I personally go out of my way to look for problems. No. When you affect somebody, you affect their serenity and their personal environment. There was other terms for it that I used, okay? They're affecting you deliberately. They're doing this deliberately to alter your natural environment. That's what they're trying to do to America now, is alter our natural state. It's not going to happen, people. We're this close to a civil war, and when that food on those shelves, when it gets down there, and so I told people, you want to go target shooting, you may not get another round, because Biden's going to he's going to put an embargo on that ammunition in the stores. You better save it for, maybe you're going to need a deer or something to survive the winter. Carve them up, put them in the freezer after the other foods are gone. That's why I still smoke, okay? That's my personal thoughts, and that's my explanation of espionage. If I went too fast and anybody sees what espionage is and wants to know what espionage is, I will gladly explain that to them. Okay, but that was definitely corporate espionage, and like I said, it happened to Felpro gaskets that I can recollect, happened to NGK spark plugs, it happened actually to Holley carburetors. There were some parts, they were actually fancy colored anodized parts and stuff that were coming into the market. I think somebody here on U.S. soil was doing it, because again, those were coming out of California. They were readily available, next day shipping and all that, and you found out you went to put something together with them, they were total dog shit. So that's my explanation, that's my video. I got to get back to work, folks. But I hope people accept an intelligent explanation for something. I don't mean to protect Seresto, because I do think Seresto has some kind of liability in it if they can't prove otherwise. This could have totally, however, transpired in China. It didn't have to be. But to have their packaging or almost duplicate packaging materials, I don't know. You could maybe get those cans without the labels and take them maybe to China and print them. But who makes those cans, and how are the Chinese getting a hold of an exact copy of that can? Because I looked at the seams, I looked at the metal, and one of those cans, there's two of them that are missing. There's one of the third real Serestos missing, and then one of the clones went to my friend. That's what I did. I was airframe and power plant. So I have a degree in metallurgy, and I have a degree in aviation engineering, aviation science. But one of my masters was metallurgy. But there's nothing I can do here without the equipment. But the seams were the same. They were non-welded. They were a crimped seam. Those are made on a special type of machine. It's a special type of one-of-a-kind can. I don't know of any other product that comes in a can like that. So hopefully I'll get some answers from Seresto, that maybe somebody will forward this video to him and say, hey, you better listen to this guy because he's trying to tell you something. And not necessarily something they don't already know, but I think America needs to be enlightened how this stuff is happening to them. Because I would sure like, before I shut the camera off, the rest of the details. Thank you, guys.